Hey buddy, Thomas here. Doesn't this look like just an ordinary piece of wood? Nothing special about it. It's kind of gray, it's kind of faded. Well, let's take a look, folks. Boom. That is some magnificent curly maple. Absolutely amazing figure that is in this. Now this was an offcut. I just actually had to trim off a piece of the log so that I can get it to the correct orientation that I want to have it on the mill. The log itself, again, doesn't look like much. But this is some red maple we got out of Tennessee. This log really won't have a lot of spalt or anything. This has just been up off the ground for a while, but if you look at it very carefully, you can see these like ridges right here. And they are pretty deep. I mean, that's almost a ½ inch deep between the peaks to the bottom there. I mean, that's a deep little ridge, and you have all this right here, of course, around the knots and everything. And you can actually see some lines kind of going down the log. I think we're gonna find a lot of curl in this log. And you'll find some more of these grooves on this side as well. And then of course up here. Now, I could continue cutting in the current direction that I'm in, but if I cut in the current direction that I'm in, first off, I'll get some really funky slabs that'll be hard to sell. And second off, I don't believe I'll be maximizing the amount of figure that is in this log. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it 90 degrees. I'm going to put essentially this right here on the upward direction. This will be against my log stops. And then we're going to cut down, get a nice smooth reference point. So our reference cut, if you will get down to a nice flat point. Then we'll turn it 180 over, and then I'll start slabbing down from that side down. So the orientation of my slabs will be this way. Now, those won't be my widest slabs I could get out of this log, but they'll be close. But in cutting in that direction, so essentially you look at the log this way, my slabs will be very uniform. And I believe they're gonna have a absolute ton of figure. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. These will be perfect for, you know, pieces for a table, pieces for benches. And I think what I'm going to cut these at, based on the width, I'm thinking about 1.5 inches. I think 1.5 inches, maybe a little bit more, maybe 1.75 inches. Let's do 1.75 inches. We'll try that out. That way we have enough room to plane it down and have a final product around 1.5 inches or so. But again, I'll look at the scale, see what kind of best fits it. And then also our pith section, we'll cut that one a little bit thicker if we can. If we can't, then we'll see if we can encapsulate it into a board. If we encapsulate it into a board, yes, that board will probably split apart, but that's perfect for the epoxy folks. They love that stuff. Like my buddy Bobby, he loves that stuff. And he does amazing, amazing stuff. And same with my buddy Zeke as well. Both of those will take some of these cuts that have the pith in them. After they dry, they kind of fall apart there. They split apart, but then that's where they do their river, if you will. They'll actually break it on that pith, move it out, and then you still have your natural edges on the side. It looks really cool. So that's a good thing you can do with some of your pith cuts going from there. All right, so I've talked enough. Let me go and throw in a time lapse. I'll show the reference cuts and everything, getting here to where we want, and then we'll do some real-time cutting. So stay tuned. This should be a good one. Okay folks, I've taken off the slabs. I didn't want to show that in the video because there was nothing to see there, but oh my goodness, I am absolutely blown away. Now, I have not put water on this yet. This is gorgeous. That color, that figure, I mean, I've cut some red maple that looked like this before, and it had just these beautiful colors. I guess you'd call this like a swamp red maple, but just, my goodness, it's beautiful. I mean, very subtle tones of spalt right there, but you have like these grays and greens and blues, and you have like some light reds and tans, and just gorgeous. But this section right here, that is gorgeous. I mean, you have like this wave pattern going through it, which correlates to what I was talking about beforehand. So there's those grooves I was talking about on the outside, which that actually leads into the wood. We had the branch that was coming out here. We had the compounding of the grains. And yeah, this is, so this limb was growing in this direction Essentially, it's pushing into itself, causing that compaction right there of the grain, and it's just multiplying the beauty of this log. I mean, you're getting just all the way back through here. This is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. I cannot wait to see what this looks like with water on it. I'm very happy. Maple never ceases to amaze me at how beautiful it can be. I mean, and this sucker is hard. There is not a bit of rot to this log. It is just gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So this top slab here, this is only the top, folks. So I think it's going to get better too. But this top slab here, I don't think I can let this one go. I got to keep this one. This one's just too darn beautiful. I don't know. I got to keep it. So let me go ahead. We'll turn this over. We will continue cutting. I'll do a little bit more of a time lapse, and I'll save probably the real-time cutting for the actual wider cuts. And I'm not gonna lie, folks, it was loading up pretty heavy. This is some really, really hard wood. And if you saw midway through the log, I did actually stop the mill, turn the blade off, and actually had to put more water to it. My water, I guess something got clogged in the pipe, and it just wasn't letting the water through. But wow, I'm just blown away at how good this looks. Stay tuned. We're gonna do a little more time lapse, and then we'll go ahead and do some final cutting, and then we'll talk about the rest of the wood and show the water on it at the end. I think you're really gonna I mean, I'm gonna like this one, so stay tuned. Okay, folks, this wood is beyond beautiful. I've already seen what it looks like. You're gonna be so impressed. We're gonna go ahead and continue this up at 1 3/4 inches, cut through everything, and then we'll see, what we actually end up with. But I could not be happier the way this turned out. So stay tuned. I'm gonna go ahead and crank this up. The mill is already warmed up. The blade is sharp. Water's full. Y'all are gonna like this one. This is good. Here we go. right, so as you heard, it does load the diesel up, but it still is just absolutely amazing. So that right there was a pith cut. As you can see, we have the pith in there. I'm going to get some water. We're going to throw it on these slabs, and then we're just going to be amazed and sit here in awe and look at the beauty that is within. In fact, let me get a little bit of water on the back side of this, see if we can show you. Hopefully I got most of it. Yep, that looks pretty good. Just to show you, again, a pith cut. This would be perfect for my buddies to do epoxy, because it's probably going to open up right here. There's no doubt about that. That's probably going to open up. But I mean, the feathering that's in here, the straight grain, the flecking that you see in here, this is absolutely gorgeous. Like, could not be happier. That was 4 slabs right there, plus we have a number of slabs down here, and I've got, I think, 2 on the other side of the building there. I'm going to show these on the building, so stay tuned for the reveal. These will be absolutely amazing. Cannot wait. All right, folks, we are at the very final here. So the slabs that came off this are amazing, and some of them already have some water on them because I was throwing some water on the sawmill just to get some pictures. This is like $1 million maple. Yes, I did use the name of the video finally, but that's what I'm going to call my $1 million maple, because this looks amazing. The figure it's on here, use the hose. But absolutely gorgeous color that's in here. Just phenomenal. Get all this sawdust stuff off, and I'll get the other backside too. Surprisingly, there's figure in here, as well as there is flecking, like the flecking you see in, say, sycamore, or even some end pieces of cherry and stuff like that. And I just love the look of that. Any kind of wood that has flecking is that's a winner in my book. I have cut one other maple that was kind of like this, and again, it came out of Tennessee, which is, we all know, the best state in the world. Yeah, it just looks amazing. And I actually made my wife a cutting board. And I'll tell you a little quick story. I made that cutting board for her, and I brought it to one of our shows, and I told her I would not sell it. Well, when someone asked me a price on it, I'm like, well, I really shouldn't sell this. And then, anyway, she said a lot of money, and I sold it. So, long story short, I've got to make my wife another one out of a piece of maple that looks like this. But let me throw this hose back down here. We're gonna walk through this. This is gorgeous. Look at these colors. Again, the grays, the blues, the slight coloration of green, the 2 pith boards right here. Those, I mean, that's a beautiful table. Although it also does look like a pair of pants as well. Yeah, that's a pair of pants. But just beautiful, beautiful stuff. Let me go ahead and get this out of my holder. Sorry, as I was taking it out of the holder, I turned it off. But look at this. This is, like I told you. So you see this on the outside here? That corresponds to this beautiful, beautiful feathering. Just absolutely, you know, this has been my favorite maple log I think I've ever cut. That's why I'm calling this my $1 million maple, just because, I mean, it looks like $1 million, folks. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, just figure and everything else that's going on in here. I mean, just, the colors are rich. The grain looks amazing. I'm very happy. Please let me know what you think about these. And I know I've had a request at the Sawmill show to cut some maple. We will cut either the bottom section of this tree or the top section of this tree at our Sawmill show, 30 October, up in Natchez Trace State Park, which is actually literally 5 days away. And folks, I cannot wait. Actually, I guess 6 days away. I cannot wait. It's gonna be a fantastic time. We're gonna have some amazing stuff there. If you can come out there, come on out. It's gonna be a great time. We may have some special guests there. Yeah, we're gonna have some special guests there. Mr. Robert's gonna be there. Him and his wife will be there, and it's just gonna be a fantastic time. But yeah, hopefully we'll cut the other maple log like this, which I know we will. And then we're also gonna cut some cypress. I had a request for some cypress. And then we'll probably cut some black walnut because I have a mantle we got to cut for an individual. And then we're going to cut some really long poplar. So yeah, we'll show you what we did to the sawmill. We modified my dad's sawmill a little bit, and the mods should be done by next weekend. So stay tuned. Please like, subscribe. The channel is growing. I absolutely am amazed at how much the channel is growing. And I love the comments, and I love anything that has to do with sawmills, woodworking, logging, tractors, you name it. So come on out to the Sawmill show. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. Thanks, y'all.